Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and you're watching Step Ladder, and I hope that you all are doing fine and good. And in this session we are going to discuss and learn about the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, which is the poem 3 from your first flight class 10 CBSE English textbook. And the poet of this poem A Tiger in the Zoo is Leslie Norris. So this poem A Tiger in the Zoo is written by the poet Leslie Norris. So guys, without much delay, let's get into the session and start the poem. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this session we are going to learn about the following topics that I have mentioned here. So the first one is about the poet, and the second one is the poem's explanation, and the third one is about the summary, theme and moral or message of the poem, and the fourth one is the questions. Some questions we are going to discuss related to this poem A Tiger in the Zoo, and the word meanings of this poem, and some of the literary or poetic devices that are used in this poem we are going to discuss and learn today in this session. So guys, let's start about the poet. So let's start the session by knowing about the poet. So the poet of this poem A Tiger in the Zoo is Leslie Norris. So his full name is Leslie Norris. He's called as George Leslie Norris, and he was a prize-winning Welsh poet and short story writer. He taught at academic institutions in Britain and the United States, including Brigham Young University. Norris is considered one of the most important Welsh writers of the post-war period, and his literary publications have won many prizes. He was born on 21st May 1921, Merthyr, Tydford, United Kingdom, and died on 6th April 2006, Provo, Utah, United States. His awards are Clemendelet Award. So I guess you all understood, some description I have added about the poet. Now let's get into the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. So basically this poem A Tiger in the Zoo, this deals with two distinct or different cases. So the first case is about a tiger in the zoo, and the second case is about a tiger which is in the jungle or in the forest. So as you know that the tiger which is caged inside a cage, it means that it is in the zoo. So the tiger, it doesn't have any freedom to move or roam anywhere, and it has limited place or area to roam here and there inside the cage, and it has to listen to the curator. Only if the curator, if he feels to give the food to the tiger, only then it can eat. So it is like independent on the zoo completely, right? But another case here is a tiger in the jungle or forest. So the tiger which is in the jungle, it can roam here and there, it's free. It has the freedom to do anything. It can hunt its own prey, it has the freedom to move here and there. It can roam anywhere, it can do anything. It is like the king of the jungle. If the tiger, it is in the jungle or it is in the forest, right? Yeah. So now let us start the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. So I just told you before the gist of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on paths of velvet, quiet in his quiet rage. So this whole poem, it consists of equal lengths, in the sense there is a rhyme scheme, and this poem, it is not written in free verse. Fine. And this poem basically consists of 5 stanzas. This poem consists of 5 stanzas, and each stanzas are divided into 4 lines, and totally this poem consists of 20 lines, right? So he stalks in his vivid stripes. So here it is mentioned to represent the tiger which is in the zoo. So this whole stanza, this first stanza, it describes about the tiger which is caged in the cage, that is the tiger, it is in the zoo, right? So he stalks in his vivid stripes. So here stalks. So what is the meaning of stalks? So stalks means to move slowly or to follow stiffly, right? To move stiffly or to move slowly in his vivid stripes. Vivid means brightly colored stripes, the stripes of the tiger which is in the zoo. The second line says the few steps of his cage. It means that the tiger, the tiger which is in the zoo, it is caged inside his cage, and he's moving here and there very slowly in his vivid stripes. with his brightly colored stripes. He's moving very slowly, few steps of his cage on paths of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. So, as the tiger, he has only limited place or area to move here and there or to roam here and there in the cage. He's very angry, right? He's not free to move there here and there in the cage, as the cage it has only a little amount of space, right? So, the tiger is very angry. His mood here is very angry. On pads of velvet quiet. So as you can see, here pads it refers to the paws of the tiger. Velvet quiet in the sense the tiger's footsteps, you cannot even hear the footsteps of the tiger. It is very soft, right? And as you can see here, velvet quiet, it is, we are just comparing something indirectly. It means that it is basically example for metaphor, right? So this is an example for your metaphor. It is a poetic device that is used in this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo. In his quiet rage. So here quiet rage, it means that, so here rage means angry and quiet rage. So as you can see here, the ideas are compared, or the ideas are, they are opposite to each other, right? Opposite adjectives. So here there is a usage of oxymoron, which is another poetic device we will learn later. So I'm just saying you now itself. So oxymoron is one of the poetic device which we use to compare ideas that are basically opposite to each other. So they are opposite adjectives. So quiet rage. So rage means angry and quiet rage. So like you can see it is opposite, right? So this is an example for the poetic device oxymoron, which is used in the stanza 1. So I guess stanza 1, this is clear. This is your first stanza. The second stanza, he should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. So as you can see here, this stanza, it represents you about the tiger which is in the jungle or in the forest. He should be lurking in shadow. Lurking in the sense hiding, right? Sliding through long grass. So the tiger which is in the jungle, it is lurking in the shadow so that it can hunt its prey, right? So that it can hunt its prey. Sliding through long grass, okay, near the water hole. So near the water hole where the plump deer it passes, right? So the plump deer here, it is it is the prey for the tiger which is in the jungle, and the tiger, it is lurking, it is hiding itself in the shadow, and it is sliding over the long grass so that it can catch its prey, that is the plump deer which passes to the water hole, near the water hole where plump deer pass, right? So that is the actual this is the meaning of the second stanza. So as you can observe here, from this stanza 1 and from the stanza 2, you can observe that another poetic device is used, that is imagery. The another poetic device used is your imagery. So as you can see, the poet mentions he stalks in his weaved stripes the few steps of his cage. So here the poet, he tries to create the image of the tiger which is in the zoo, right? So he tries to create the image of the tiger which is in the zoo by these lines. And as you can see here also, he should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass. So this is also the example of imagery, as the poet, he tries to create the image of the tiger which is in the jungle, which tries to hunt for its prey. So I guess these two stanzas are clear. So let me move on with the third stanza. So this is your third stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. So even this stanza, it describes you about the tiger which is in the jungle or in the forest. He should be snarling around houses. So the tiger is giving a warning sound, right? So snarling means it is a warning sound given by the animals, right, at the jungle's edge. So where the tiger is giving the warning sound, he is giving the warning sound, that is, he's snarling around houses, the houses that are located at the jungle's edge. This is very important. Baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. So the tiger, he's terrorizing the village as he's free to move here and there. He's free to roam here and there. So he is terrorizing the village by baring his white fangs, his claws. So here claws are like the paws of the animals, like hands. The fangs. So here fangs here means the tooth of the sharp tooth of the animal, and the animal here is the tiger, which is in the jungle or forest. Baring in the sense uncovered. So he's just showing out his tooth so that he can make people get scared of the tiger himself. And in this way he's terrorizing the village people, the whole village. So this is the stanza 3. I guess you all understood. Now let me move on with the stanza 4. So in this stanza 4 you can observe the poet, he mentions about the tiger which is in the zoo. As you can see, there's it is mentioned concrete cell. So concrete cell means it is a building made of cement and bricks, and basically it is the cage of the tiger which is in the zoo. It means that a tiger, it is caged in his cage, but he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. So the tiger, which is locked or it is caged inside a concrete cell, which is basically the cage of the tiger in the zoo, his strength behind bars. So all his strengths are behind bars. He cannot do nothing as he is caged inside a cage. He cannot show his like all his power, like he can just eat everyone. No, he cannot do that as he's locked inside a concrete cell, stalking the length of his cage. So he's just seeing the length of his cage, like he's just seeing the the space inside the cage, and he's ignoring visitors. Like it will be like very boring, right? Like every day you're just seeing people coming and watching you. So he's ignoring the visitors who are coming and watching the tiger in the zoo, right? And as you can see, there is a usage of one poetic device, that is alliteration. Behind bars. So the sound of B is being repeated at the start of 2 letters, right? So this is your stanza 4. I guess this stanza is clear. Now let me move on with the 5th stanza. So this is your 5th stanza. So this stanza, it basically it says you about he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So as you can see, this stanza, the stanza 5, it describes you about the tiger which is in the zoo. So the tiger is caged. He hears the last voice at night. So the tiger which is caged inside a cage, which is basically in the zoo, he hears the last voice at night, and that last voice is of the patrolling cars. So here the meaning of the patrolling cars are the cars of the police. We say guard cars, right? And stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. And he tries, he stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So he thinks like why he's just wondering like why he's caged inside the cage, and why he's not free to move here and there and to roam freely, right? So this is the 5th stanza. I guess you all understood the 5th stanza. So let me move on with the next topic in the session. So here I have added two images for your better understanding, for your better picture about this poem A Tiger in the Zoo. As you can see in the first image, it is about the tiger which is free, which is in the jungle or forest, and the second image, it describes you about the tiger which is in the zoo, which is caged inside his cage, right? Okay, now let's see some word meanings of this poem A Tiger in the Zoo. So as you can see, as I already told you, the meaning of stalks, walk stiffly or angrily, or even to move slowly. That is also the meaning of stalks. Lurking means to hide or hiding. Snarling means to growl or to make a warning sound. Patrolling are the guard cars, which are basically police cars. And then you have concrete cell, which is the cage of the tiger here, which is made up of bricks, cement, right? So I guess you all understood the word meanings of this poem A Tiger in the Zoo, written by the poet Leslie Norris. So let us see some questions that's related with the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, so that we can discuss about it. These three questions I wish to give you all as a homework questions, right? So you all can just try out these three questions. So these three questions are very simple, right? If you want, you can just note it down in your notebook, or you can take a screenshot of these three questions, and please answer to these questions and post the answers in the comment section. I'll try to check all your answers which you have posted in the comment sections, and I'll try to check and revert all your comments back. Fine. So let us see what is the summary of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. So as at the beginning itself I said that this poem, it is a contrasting poem which deals with a tiger in the zoo as well as a tiger in its natural habitat, in the sense a tiger in the jungle or forest. This poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo with a tiger in its natural habitat. The poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo. So at the starting, the poem starts with the zoo and then it moves to the jungle, and again it comes back to the zoo again, right? The poem provides a contrast in the mood and environment of a tiger when he is in the zoo, and a tiger when he is in the forest. In the zoo, he has no freedom. He's kept in a cemented cell, that is the concrete cell, behind the bars. He feels angry, frustrated, and helpless. This reminds him of his natural habitat, his hiding and sliding in the long grass near the waterhole and pouncing upon the fat deer. The way he terrorized the villagers, displaying his sharp teeth and claws. At night in the zoo, he hears the sounds of patrolling cars. The tiger in the zoo appears helpless as to be mere showpiece and source of entertainment to people. The poet wants to convey that it is cruel to keep wild animals in small enclosures of the zoo away from their natural habitat. They feel angry, helpless, and unhappy in the cage. He pays no attention to the visitors who came to watch him. In the silence of the night, he stares at the brilliant stars with his brilliant eyes. So I guess you all understood the summary of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, and I hope so. So let me move on with the theme and moral of the poem. So the theme of the poem is very simple. The poet Leslie Norris wants to convey that it is cruel to keep wild animals in small enclosures in the zoo away from their natural habitat. They feel angry, helpless, and unhappy, and remember their life and environment in the forest. Moral or message of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. The message conveyed by the poem is that just like humans, animals do long for freedom and do not like being caged. For instance, the tiger in the poem longs to be in the jungle, and he looks longingly at the shining stars in the sky. So here the message of the poem, it makes us to understand that even like human beings, animals, they too have the same feeling, they too long for freedom. They don't like to be caged, or they don't like to be independent. They don't like to be dependent, right? For instance, the tiger in the poem, it longs to be in the jungle. So the tiger, he wants to just get out of the zoo, and he wants to go back to his jungle or forest, and he want to and he even looks longingly at the shining stars in the sky. He's just remembering those days where he spent his life in the jungle, right? Where he hunts its own prey, right? So this is the message or moral of this poem. And one point here what I want to convey is, if you compare a tiger in the zoo and a tiger in the forest, you can identify that the tiger in the zoo, it is dependent on the curator or the members of the zoo, while the tiger in the jungle or forest, it is independent, right? It is not dependent on anyone for anything. So now let us see the poetic devices that are used throughout the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. So the first poetic devices, as I said, this poem consists of 5 stanzas, that is of 20 lines, and each stanza consists of 4 lines. It means that it is of equal length, and therefore there is a rhyme scheme for this poem. So the rhyme scheme for this entire poem is A B C B A B C B A B C B A B C B A B C B. So the rhyme scheme for each stanza is same, right? So then totally in this stanza 11 poetic or literary devices are used. So the first one is your rhyme scheme, second one is your alliteration, then you have oxymoron, consonants, personification, symbolism, imagery, metaphor, enjambment, assonance, onomatopoeia. So these are 11 poetic or literary devices that are used in the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. Now, as I told you already about the rhyme scheme, now let us discuss about I have already told you about rhyme scheme and as well as oxymoron. So now let us discuss about alliteration, consonants, personification, symbolism, imagery, metaphor, enjambment, assonance, onomatopoeia. So for onomatopoeia, you just have one example, that is snarling. This is the example from the poem, okay? And assonance. So as I said, that assonance, it is the repetition of vowel sounds, right? So let us see from the poem itself. So as you can see in this poem, as I said, that assonance, it is the repetition of vowel sounds, right? So as you can see here, there is a repetition of I, which is a vowel. Hence, this is an example for your assonance, right? And then you can see the usage of imagery in these two poems, and as well as symbolism is also used throughout the poem. And you can see here there is a usage of oxymoron and velvet quiet. This is an example for metaphor, right? And here you can see plum pass. So this is an example for your alliteration. And here you can see behind bars. This is also an example for your alliteration. Right? And then you have consonants, then you have onomatopoeia, and onomatopoeia example is snarling. Example for onomatopoeia. So these are some of the literary devices that are used throughout the poem, as you can see. Then as I said, you have consonants, right? So here the example for your consonants is, you can see the sound of O, it's being repeated here, right? And personification. So in all these stanzas you can see the poet mentions the tiger as he, not as it. This is an example for your personification. And then you have onomatopoeia. As I said, it is the example for onomatopoeia, that is snarling. And even symbolism and imagery it is used throughout the poem, as you can see. And then you have enjambment, right? So as you can see in the poem, you can see that there is a usage of enjambment in many stanzas. So as you can see here, the first line continues to the second line, and then it goes on like this, as you can see here, right? So this is an example for your enjambment. So guys, these are some of the literary devices or poetic devices that are used in the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. I guess you all understood the literary and poetic devices. So guys, that's it for today. I guess you all understood the poem very well. If so, please like the video, share with your friends, and please comment in the comment section. I'll try to check all your comments, and if you want to suggest or if you have any opinion regarding this video, please post in the comment section. I'll check and revert all your comments back. And if you have any doubts regarding this video, even post that also in the comment section. I'll try to clarify your doubts and revert them all back. I'll try to check and revert them all back. And if you feel that this video was very useful and informative to you, please like the video, share the video, and please comment in the comment section. And please do not forget to subscribe my YouTube channel for more videos and notifications that I will be uploading in my YouTube channel. And please do hit the bell icon given below to get all kinds of notifications from my YouTube channel. Okay guys, meet you all in my next video. Until then, bye bye, take care, stay tuned, and please do not forget to subscribe, because your one subscription means a lot to me. Okay guys, meet you all in my next video. Bye bye. Stay tuned, meet you all in my next video, and please do not forget to comment in the comment section. Bye bye.